You might just want to lean in for this one because what I'm about to tell you is not a conspiracy, not a myth, it's not a Twitter activist thread. It's a mirror being held up to the global economy. A Swiss mining company has operated in Zambia for over 20 years. And while mining towns in Zambia have dealt with unemployment, underfunded hospitals, and inconsistent wages, Switzerland has used the profits to develop entire modern towns. Yes, the country with the perfect trains, perfect chocolate, has used African copper to polish its perfect neighborhoods. And remember, if you want more Africa First stories that Western media often ignores, hit subscribe because we don't chase the headlines, we chase the truth behind them. Today's truth exposes one of the quietest, most sophisticated pipelines of wealth extraction the world has ever normalized. But first, we're going to take a look at just how copper is extracted, produced, and manufactured. And then we'll take a look at just how beautiful Switzerland has become before we get into the details.
The process of making copper is very, very interesting. The process starts by breaking the ground. After the blast, the ore body is reduced into a reasonable size. At that stage, it is transported for further treatment. Or is fed into the plant. From the milling, we now have to subject that product into another process. That process is called flotation. At flotation, that is where we add chemicals. Those chemicals are there to help us separate the copper. We take it to another stage. It's called filtration. So at the smelter, that is where now it undergoes heat treatment to produce the copper that we require to export or sell.
All right, so that is the process for copper extraction and production. Now let's take a look at just how beautiful Switzerland, really is, right? So Zambia's copper belt, right, is a region that produces some of the richest minerals on Earth. For more than 20 years, Swiss-owned Glencore is the name of the company, right? One of the world's largest commodity traders operated in Mopani copper mines through a web of global subsidiaries, right? The copper flowed out, the profits flowed up, and a strange economic miracle appeared thousands of miles away, right? Swiss towns are swelling with wealth, infrastructure, and investment that no one could trace back to local mines in Europe. Meanwhile, in Kitwe, Mufulira, Chingola, the towns actually producing the copper, the people were struggling. That's like a restaurant giving you the bill when you never even ate there, right? So many times people assume that foreign companies coming to Africa means jobs, development, partnerships, right? They imagine glossy brochures full of smiling workers and corporate social responsibility. But the truth is much simpler and often colder. Zambia sold millions of tons of copper, but Swiss subsidiaries declared the real profits. Zambia got cents on the dollar. Switzerland got upscale towns, booming tax revenue, and growing financial districts. So this isn't aid. This is a redistribution machine from the global south to the global north. So when another country harvests your minerals, but you harvest the struggle, that's not a partnership. That's structural inequality, right? And before we go further, let's talk about the real numbers because when we as Africans show receipts, the world suddenly gets nervous. So here's what we can verify, right? Over the past 2 decades, Zambia has produced between 14 and 16 million tons of copper. This is confirmed by production data showing an annual output of about 716,000 tons and rising as high as 820,000 tons in recent years. So what's that worth, right? During the 2010 to 2018 period, copper averaged USD $6,860 per ton. So multiply that by an average of 14 million tons. That equals between 96 and 100 billion USD worth of copper exported out of Zambia. 100 billion USD, right? From one African nation. So here's what we cannot verify because they're a private company. Glencore and its subsidiaries are private with offshore structures and invisible accounting. So we can't publicly see the actual profit margins, the real taxes paid, how much money was shifted abroad, or how much financed Swiss development, or how much should have actually stayed and funded Zambian schools, roads, and hospitals. And secrecy is not a flaw in this model. It is the actual model. So what we can say with confidence is that Zambia exported nearly 100 billion in copper and only a fraction stayed in Zambia. Swiss towns benefited from commodity profits, and Zambian towns saw far less development. And the imbalance is not hypothetical, it's structural. So we need Switzerland to do better. Switzerland understands governance, transparency, accounting, and accountability. So Switzerland must understand this too. If African minerals help build Swiss prosperity, Africans deserve transparency, dignity, and a fair share. So do better, open the books, and partner with us. Don't extract from Africa, right? So this isn't only about Zambia. This is about Africa waking up the hidden architecture of extraction. If Zambia retained even 10% more of that copper value, the country could have, erased significant portions of national debt, built modern infrastructure, funded education and healthcare at scale, modernized mining towns currently stuck in stagnation. So the social impact here is that mining towns in Zambia have lived through job instability, basic services being underfunded, schools without materials, and hospitals without equipment. Meanwhile, Swiss towns expanded real estate, commerce, public services, funded by commodity profits that originated in Africa. So this story exposes a critical truth. Africa doesn't lose because it has no wealth. Africa loses because it doesn't control the wealth that it has. So the era of African silence is ending. Minerals are being processed locally. Export rules are tightening and countries are forming mineral alliances, with the example being the Zambia DRC battery corridor, which intends to keep value in Africa. So a new Africa is coming, one that controls the value, not just the ore. And if Africa continues this trajectory, future headlines could look like African nations demand full transparency from foreign miners. Africa sets global standards for copper value retention. And Switzerland respectfully must choose, right? Will you be a fair partner in Africa's rise, or will you be a museum of old extraction models? And if you thought this conversation was explosive, wait until we expose how other nations are exporting cobalt, gold, and rare earths, and they've been undervalued for decades, right? So let's end with this truth, right? A nation becomes powerful the moment it refuses to let its wealth build someone else's future. Zambia dug the copper, Switzerland built the town, and Africa, we're done playing that role, right? So, mashallah, that's your African Insight for today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because I'm Mr. Empower TV. We don't chase the headlines, we chase the truth behind them. This is Mr. Empower, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.